This conference will now be recorded.
Hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. So let's continue our discussion on the partitioning remaining things. Few advanced things are remaining inside it. We have to see one more utility and some troubleshooting concepts. So let us finish first one more concept in permanent mounting, and then we'll go with some troubleshooting concepts. So yesterday we have created two partitions. Let me log in into our machine. So if I run fdisk command, you can see we have created SDA4 as extended, SDA5 and SDA6. Both we have created. Now we have also made a permanent mount of these two partitions. SDA5 to be mounted on test and SDA6 to be mounted on test 2. If you run mount and grep for SDA, you will find your SDA5 and SDA6, both partitions got mounted perfectly. Now there is one more way to make a permanent mount. Instead of using names, you can use something called UUID, unique user ID. But first, let's understand what is that unique user ID and in what case it is useful. So let us say, guys, that you have added entries in etc fs tab in this fashion, that SDA5 to be mounted on /a directory, for example, SDA6 to be mounted on /b directory, and SDA7 to be mounted on /c directory, and SDA8 to be mounted on /d directory. So suppose these are the entries what you have kept in etc fs tab. Now guys, due to some issue, you had to delete the partition. I'm not telling deleting entry from fs tab. I'm telling going to fdisk utility, pressing D, selecting suppose fifth partition and deleting. So what you did, you went into fdisk utility and you have deleted the fifth partition. Now, as soon as you delete a partition from mid of the order, like fifth or fourth or third, so in order to maintain the proper list, what fdisk will do is it will rename the partition. 6 will now become 5, 7 will now become 6, and 8 will become 7. In order to maintain the proper sequence, what fdisk will do is it will change the names of the partition. So guys, these names are getting changed in fdisk utility in your hard disk, and your partitions are getting changed. But the problem is you have not updated fs tab. So scenario is, guys, you went to fdisk, you deleted the partition, and because you have deleted a mid partition, it renamed all the other partitions. Okay, but you did not updated fs tab. Now, as you have not updated fs tab, at next reboot, everything will get mounted at wrong mount points where you never wanted it to get mounted. Now, as SDA6 has become 5, it will get mounted on A directory. SDA7, which now became 6, will get mounted on B, and SDA8, which now became 7, will get mounted on C. Now, this thing will create a confusion and it might have some issues with your applications. All application partitions will get mounted on wrong place and your application may not find the data of application, so it may not power on or get activated. Lots of issues you might face. Now, why we are facing these issues? Because we have kept simple names in FS tab and those names got changed. Because of that change, we face this issue. Now, what if I use something which is not that much easy to change or which is not so simple to get changed? What is that? See, guys, when we create a partition and format the partition, automatically each partition will have a unique user ID. So what is that unique user ID? Actually, when you apply the file system on any partition, your partition will get divided into blocks, which are called as data block, right? So data block is nothing but the blocks in which your file system is trying to store the data. It's like shelves it makes, and in each shelf it is going to store some data. Now, out of all, the first shelf or first block is called as super block. Why it is called as super block? Because it keeps information about entire partition. Total how many blocks are there, total how many blocks are used, how many blocks are free, how many inodes are there in this file system, how many are used, how many are free, and what type of file system is used on this partition. All that information is kept in superblock. And this superblock will carry a UUID, unique user ID. Why it is called as unique? Because it is not going to match with any other partition's ID. Every partition will get a different ID. No two partition will be able to get same ID. That's the reason it is called as unique user ID. Now, this ID is not easy to get changed. Now, in place of the names SDA 5, 6, or 7, if I use this ID, even if the name of the partition is changed with this UUID, suppose earlier the name was SDA 5 or SDA 6, for example. Now the name is changed to SDA 5, for example. So with this UUID, it will find out what is my current name, and that name is only going to get mounted on A or B, whatever you have mentioned in FS tab. So even if the name of the partition gets changed, UUID will automatically get updated with that change. And while mounting, UUID will tell that last time the name was SDA 6, now the name got changed to SDA 5. So SDA 5 should get mount on B. Why? Because UUID knows that the change happened, and whatever change happened, according to that, it is going to mount it on B and C and D. So there won't be any wrong mounting. So even if the name got changed also, UUID will update that new name automatically and mount it on a correct directory. I'll show you how it works. First of all, I want to know what is the UUID of my partition. Now there are many methods to know the UUID of your partition. First of all, you can go with a command blkid, block ID, slash dev SDA5 or slash dev SDA6. You see SDA5 is having a different UUID. SDA6 is also having a different UUID. It is also telling you what type of file system you are having, and each block is of what size. One is XFS EXT fellow is having a block size of 1024 KB, and XFS is having a smaller block size 512 KB. And there is one more thing that is available, part UUID. Never use part UUID because part UUID also carry partition name, like SDA5 will end with 05. SDA6 will end with 06. Now, if SDA6 name is changed to 5, automatically that number will change to 05. So part UUID is not dependable. Don't use it. You should always depend on UUID. Now there is one more method to see your UUIDs by using a command called lsblk hyphen capital F and small s, or maybe like that. So you see, it is telling you, or in a simple way, you can say lsblk hyphen F. So you see, it is telling you SDA5, what is the UUID, and SDA6, what is the UUID. So two methods are there through which you can check what is the UUID of your partition. See, using an ID, you can find the partition name also. You can say blkid-u and paste the UUID. Now the question here is, how can I copy anything on Putty? See, on Putty, when you select something, like I did that ID, when you select it, it automatically gets copied. How can I paste it? By using a right click of your mouse. When you right click of the mouse, it gets pasted. Select anything, it will be copied. Right click and it would be pasted. So you see, with UUID, it is telling you what is the name. So this is what exactly happened at the time of mounting. With UUID, it will check current name and that name will get mounted on your present mount point. Same thing you can do. I'll copy the UUID of SDA6 and I'll say BLKID hyphen U and paste the ID. So it says this ID belongs to SDA6. Or you can say BLKID partition name. So it will tell you UUID. With name you can find the ID. With ID you can find the name. So let me copy this exact term UUID till here. Now I copied it. Let me go to ETCFS tab and here is your SDA5. Now I'm going to delete the name. In place of name, I'm going to right click and paste it. See, you can do shift insert, the keyboard shortcut also. Instead of right click, if you press shift and insert, that will also paste it. So either go with shift insert to paste or just right click of your mouse. So you see we got pasted. Now let me save and quit. Now I'm going to unmount uh, test, go with mount grep SDA. See, in the whole list, you're not able to find SDA5. It is unmounted. How to test permanent mounting? You can say mount hyphen A. When you say mount hyphen A, it will go to FS tab. In FS tab, UUID is kept. With that UUID, it will find that ID belongs to which partition, and that partition will get mounted on test. So let me hit enter. You go back and check it out. Did you see the current name is SDA5, so SDA5 got mounted on test. Suppose the current name is SDA6, so SDA6 will get mounted on test. So whatever name it might be having right now, that name will get mounted on the directory. So with this, there will not be any contradiction or conflict in names and mounting. Okay, same thing I'm going to do with SDA6. I'll say blkid slash dev SDA6. Let me select this whole thing. It is copied. So as I told you, you can use shift insert also. You see, when I say shift insert, it is getting pasted. Okay, anyway, I'll copy it and now I'll go to ETCFS tab. Here is the simple name SDA6. Let me delete that name and in place of it, I'll do right click or shift insert. You see all the other partitions, root, boot, and swap also is using what? UUID. So it is highly recommended that we should also prefer UUIDs for mounting purpose in case of partitions. That is a good practice. Okay. Right. So either you can use the names if you want, and you can also use UUID, which is a better option in order to work with that. So let me save and quit. Now let me unmount you mount test2. Go with mount and grep for SDA. There is no SDA6 in the list. Now if you run mount-a, go back with grep, you'll find that SDA6 is properly mounted. So it went to FS tab. FS tab was having UUID. With UUID, it found the present name and that name got mounted on test2. So with this, there is no conflicts. Even if the name of the partition change, with UUID, the proper name will be found and mounted. Now, during unmounting, you might face some issues. So what are those issues? Let's try to address them. Suppose I go to test directory, which is right now mounted. So I saw some data is present inside it. That's great. Now I'm going to unmount it. I'll say you mount test. It says target is busy. You mount dev SDA file. Still I'm getting the same error. You know why you get this error mostly? Observe here that you are trying to unmount test, and right now you are present in the same directory. It's like you are sitting on a branch of a tree and you are trying to cut it, the same branch on which you are sitting. So Unix will not allow you to do this activity. If you or anybody else is present in this directory, it is never going to allow you to unmount it. So if you are present inside it, just leave that directory. You see you are out of it. Now you can say you mount test and see there was no issue. You were able to unmount it. Now guys, in this scenario, you were present inside the directory. So you came out of directory, it resolves the issue. But there is a huge chance that there might be some other users who's accessing your directory right now. For example, I will log in as a user, my user. You remember during installation, I created this user. So I'm using that user now. I'll go with my user and I'm going to assign a password. Uh, I'm going to type a password, what I set for it, and I have successfully logged in. Now, if you check who am I? I'm my user. Now, as my user, I'll go to test2, which is also in use right now as a mount point. Now, not only I went into that directory, but I will be editing one of the file. So as my user, I am in test2 and I'm editing one of the file. Now let me change the colors of the terminal to make it more understandable. So black terminal belongs to my user and white terminal belongs to root. Now as a root, you don't know who is using test, right? You just found out that SDA6 is mounted on test2. Now you want to unmount it. How can I unmount it? You'll say you mount test2 and you'll get absolutely same message that target is busy. Now this time you will run pwd to check am I inside it? No, there is someone else who is sitting in my directory. Now the question is, how can I know who is present in my directory and what exactly he or she is doing? To know who is accessing your directory, there are two commands what you can use. The first command is find user, fuser. So you says that show me all current activities with username. Show me which user is accessing my directory test2 with all the activities, current activities with usernames. So it returned to us that in test2, there are two activities going on, 5675 and 5750. Now guys, every activity that goes on in system is called as process, and every process will have an ID which is called as process ID. So this number what you are seeing here is nothing but the process ID of two activities that are going on, and it says this activity belongs to my user. Now still I want to gather a little more information. What I wanted to do here is I would like to see that what exact activity is this. So the simple way is you can go with one more command, lsof. If you run lsof only, that is also enough. You don't need fuser also in this case. So you can say list open files in test2. LSOF stands for list open files. So when you run this command, guys, it tells you that there are two activities which is owned by my user whose IDs are this, and those activities are bash and vim. So we came to know that there is a user who might be using VI editor editing something in my system. Now in this scenario, what could I do? There is something which is going on. There are two things what you can do. First, wait. Wait until the user leaves the directory and then proceed unmount it. Or send a message to that user. Tell him or her, come out of the directory. I need to unmount. So maybe after receiving a message, that guy might leave, right? So how can I text a message to a user? What is the username? My user. To send a message to any user, one user to other user, the private message, you can use a command called write. It's very much similar to cat command. You can say write to which user? My user. Now type your message. For example, you can say, hi there, I am or I need to unmount test2. Please leave immediately. Right? Now press Control D. The message would be sent and you will be out. Now go to black terminal. Did you see it says that there is a message from root user? What's the message? It says, hi there, I need to unmount, please leave. EOF stands for end of file. That means the message is ended over there. Now, if this user is present, he will read that message. He'll understand that, okay, there is something requirement, I should come out of it. Or he can also reply back by typing write command to root user that, okay, I'm coming out. And he might come out of the directory. You can again run lsof. It will display nothing if no one is present. But if that guy is not responding, maybe he just opened VI editor and he left somewhere else. Now there is no one on that terminal to reply you back. You are sending one message, two message, three message. Usually within a message, reply will come. But if you tried many times and there is no response, what would you do? Would you sit till that guy come back? Maybe he is left for the day. So he might come back tomorrow, access the terminal, see the message and reply. You can do that. Or if it is an urgent issue, you can take some serious action. See, this activity, what I'm trying to show you, is usually called as incident management. Some incident occurred, so you have to do management according to that. Usually, such a harsh activities, you need to take approval from your higher authority. That this is the scenario. I'm trying to unmount it and the other side is not responding. We tried many times. Now I want to push that user out of my directory forcefully. So you need to get an approval by explaining this scenario. We use this ticketing tools and something for communication. So anyway, your high authority has responded you that, okay, go ahead. There's no problem with that. So once you got a green signal, you can use a command uh, fuser ck. Last time I told show me with all current users. I just wanted to view. But now when I add k, k means killing. So you are telling that find all currently active processes, active users, and kill them. Fuser hyphen ck, kill all current activities. You can say kc or ck, anything is fine. In which directory? Test2. Now make sure that you yourself is not present in test2, otherwise it will be suicide. So what will happen? Your terminal will also get blown out. So I know that I'm not inside it. You can see tilde. That means you are in the home directory. I'm not present in test2. Just observe the black background. What will happen when I hit enter? Now when I hit enter, you see the black terminal got forcefully closed, right? Now, if you run umount test2, was there any issue? No. So this is the way, guys, how you can make a user out of your directory or make all the users out of your directory. So that's how this thing will be working out, guys. If you're facing an issue with unmount, first of all, check am I inside the directory? If not, run fuser and find out, or lsof and find out who is inside it. Try to send a message with write command. If the guy is not responding, it's urgent for you to unmount, then take approval and go for this activity called fuser-ck. So this is how we have to troubleshoot the issues related to our mounting. Now, one more issue, guys, what people usually face. I'll tell you one incident what I faced in my working time. See, most of the time it might observe that in hurry burry, what people do is they mistype the things in FS tab. Or sometimes it happens that you deleted a partition. Maybe there was a partition SDA7 and you deleted that partition, but you forgot to remove the entry from FS tab. So partition is actually deleted, but there is an entry related to it in FS tab. Now next reboot, at the time of booting, the booting process will try to search SDA7 and it might try twice or thrice to check whether that partition exists or not. If the partition exists, it will try to mount it. If partition does not exist, it will try, and sometimes it will skip and continue, and sometimes it may try it out, and fail your booting. So because of wrong entries in FS tab, your system will resist to boot most of the time. So anytime at the time of booting, if you are facing issues, then please access FS tab and check where is the problem. So what I'm going to do here is I'll make a mistake. See, what I'll do is in place of XFS, I'll type by mistake XFS something, XFS something. Now guys, that is a mistake. There is no such file system with that name. So it's a typo what I'm doing. Now this typo can be in UUID, mount point, or any other entry. Now let me reboot the machine. I'll say reboot. Now guys, this is a test machine. I'm rebooting freely. On production machine, you have to be careful if you're rebooting it. Now observe here, when the system is rebooting, it will pause the booting. First of all, it will try a long time to correct that, find where is the mistake, and suddenly it will stop and ask you to go into rescue mode. So rescue mode is nothing but safe mode. In Windows, if you're aware of it, there is an option called safe mode that will allow you to access your operating system if there is an issue to troubleshoot it. and fix the issue. So same thing in Linux, we have rescue mode or emergency mode. Both are same, rescue or emergency, two names for same thing. So you need to go into rescue or emergency mode, access your system and find where is the fault, rectify it, and then it is going to boot. So you see here, we got the message. It says you are in emergency mode. So it says that there is some issue. So you have to access your emergency mode to fix it. Now here it says either type password of root to get access to your system or type Control D to continue. Now when you press Control D, it will repeat the same thing. Again it will search and again it will bring you to same place. But system will not boot until you fix the issue. So better type the root password and hit enter. When you type root password and hit enter, you see you got access to your system midway. Now go to etc fs tab. Most of the time during boot, when you get emergency mode message, after logging, the first thing, 99.9% you will find issues with fs tab entries only. Maybe there was a partition you deleted, but you forgot to remove entry from fs tab. Or maybe in any of the entries, you might have wrong entry placed. See, all the entries over here are in green, but the entry, what you see for last test 2, it is in black. So vi editor is vim editor will help you with this color coding. If you have a mistake in anything, it might turn red and tell you that here might be the problem, or it may show different color than the other. So you can see that in file system tab, all the partitions are having green, but the partition test2 is showing black color, and there you can find that there is a mistake in the entry. So you just correct it, it will turn into green. So let me remove, I'll go to insert mode and let me remove it. As soon as I correct the phase, automatically it has turned into green color. Same will be the case if you have done mistake in any of the entry, right? So now I corrected that. Let me save and quit. Now, if you're sure that you have rectified the error, you can now run exit option. When you say exit, it will again try to continue with the same place. It will try to mount the partition. If everything is successful, your system will boot. If not, again, it will bring you back into emergency mode. So as you see, there was no resistance in booting. This time it booted successfully. So guys, these are the troubleshooting tips what you should remember, and you should pay attention to it. If not, then you might end up having again same loops and system will not boot. I had this issue faced in one of my pharmaceutical clients that sometime they connected an external hard drive physically in the data center. They inserted a physical external hard drive and they mounted it permanently by adding UUIDs and other thing in FSTab. Now, you see on production environment for years, the system might not be touched. It would be continuously running. So one day, the data center admin has removed that external drive as they found there is no use for it. So as the external drive was removed, it still continued to work for next 6 months the same way. There was no issue. But then they updated their mail server. Lotus Domino server was there, so they updated. When they updated Lotus Domino, there was a requirement to reboot. Generally, Linux does not have requirements of rebooting often, but there was a requirement. Now, once they rebooted the system resisted to boot. What was the issue? They removed the external hard disk, but they did not remove entry what they have made permanent in FSTab. Now, due to that, the system was not booting. 6 hours, 7 hours, the production was down. It was supposed to be down for 2 hours, but it extended to 7 to 8 hours. Why? Because the entry was not removed from FSTab. When that issue came to us, we tried many things, but it was not working. Then suddenly I got an idea that let's check FSTab. So I tried to match all partitions UUID, but I was found that there is one ID which is not showing any name. So with that, I got an idea. Then I asked that there was something. They told that yes, there was an external drive connected last year, something which was removed. Then we removed the entry, reboot the machine. It was fine, right? So such a small thing can create big problems. So you must be aware of what you can do in order to rectify it. So during boot, if you get that issue, just check FS tab once thoroughly. If you find any issue, remove that entry or correct that entry and things would work fine. All right. Now let's move to our next utility. We work with the fdisk utility to check out how to create partitions and all. Now we have to see one more utility, parted utility. Okay, before that, let's finish one more command, df-h. Now guys, we have a partition STA5, STA6. I want to check what exact usage happened in my partition. So what is the size of my partition, how much space is used, and how much space is free. So you can simply run df command. df will tell you each partition, what is the size, how much is used, how much is available, used percentage, and where it is mounted. So SDA5, SDA6 also it is showing you the stuff, but it is showing you the output in KBs. How about if I want to see the same in MB? So you can say df-m, where M stands for megabytes. So it would show you the output in megabytes. Now maybe I'm not interested in megabytes. I want to see it in gigabyte. So I'll try df-g. So you see it says G does not work. In place of G, you can use another option called H, where H stands for human readable format. So human readable format is nothing but with respect to human understanding. It use either KB, MB, or GB. If something is more than KB, it will display in MB. If it is more than MB, it will display in GB. If it is more than GB, it may use TB. All possible units it use. So you see it is using MBs also. If required, it use KBs also. If required, it used GBs also. So human understanding or human readable format it uses. If you are not interested to see the whole list, you can say df-h and the partition name. Only that partition it will display. Or you can say df-h, the directory name. So it displays the directory stuff. You can put two things at a time, test and test2. Both it will display that what is the usage, how much it is using, and how much is free. But keep one thing in mind that df-h will show only the status of mounted partitions. If you unmount any partition, suppose test2, you run df-h, you'll not find SDA6 anymore in the list. If you just mount it back and recheck, you'll find out that SDA6 is also appearing. So df-h will only show you the usage related to a partition which is right now mounted. Okay, guys. Now let's see the utility what I was talking about, partitioning with the parted command. So guys, as a substitute to fdisk, you can also do partitioning with one more beautiful utility called parted. Now, if you are interested to write certification, Just keep this in mind that in certification, they would ask you to create a partition using parted utility. So normally they'll allow you to create a partition with any utility, but one question specifically they might ask you that you should create a partition using parted utility. So how can we do that? And in which case parted utility is good? See guys, fdisk utility I personally like, I told you, because in fdisk there is an option. If you have done a mistake, you can quit and come out. Nothing will change. But parted is a real-time utility. Real-time means the moment you run the command, it actually apply it on your hard disk. So you say create a partition, it create and it actually gets created. If you say delete a partition, it actually gets deleted. So whatever actions you are taking will be applied there and then. There is no quit without saving option here. So you must be very, very careful when you are running parted commands, because you delete a partition, it actually going to get deleted. So there is no way you can quit without saving kind of concept what you have with fdisk. But then why should I use parted command? Guys, you're definitely going to learn shell scripting with this course. I'll be sharing the shell scripting stuff with you. So scripting is nothing but automating your work. Suppose you are writing a script to create a partition. Now, do you think your script can run fdisk command and then type p to print the table, then type N to add a new partition, give starting sector, ending sector, then save and quit? See, fdisk utility cannot be used with script to automate the work. To automate your work, you need parted command, because parted is a utility that works as a utility. It also works as a command. You can use it a command and create a partition, delete a partition, or update a partition, whatever you want. So if you are trying to automate your work to create a partition with scripts or something, then only parted command is useful in that scenario. Otherwise, fdisk will not allow you to do uh, scripting kind of thing. So that's where we require parted command knowledge also. So if you want to list all the partitions with parted, we have already seen a command parted -l. So it displays that you have a disk called devsda, and so far 6 partitions are created. Here also it is showing start and end. But if you observe, it is showing you start on what size and end on what size, right? So there is a 524 MB partition created according to it, which started on 22 GB and ended on 22.5 GB. So here it is not discussing the sectors and all. It is telling you where the partition is starting on what size and on which size it is ending. That's cool. Now using this utility, I want to add one more partition whose size maybe should be 524 MB something, or 530 MB, 550 MB, whatever I want. So how can I go to parted utility? Same like fdisk. To go into fdisk utility, you say fdisk and hard disk name. Same place here, instead of fdisk, you can run parted and the disk name. So when you say parted and the hard disk name, it opens parted utility. You see, it says that you are now in a parted utility and where you can work. It says type help to view list of commands. Now in fdisk you type M. Here you have to write help, or you can just type H. If you don't want to type the full word help, just type H, and it shows you what are the options that you can use. You see there is an option MK part to create a new partition. There is an option called print to view partition table, quit to come out. Same way, there is a resize and rescue option is also there. Rescue lost partition and all kind of thing. But here you concentrate on RM. RM stands for removing a partition. Same way, let us say that you have added a new fresh hard disk. Now, on that fresh hard disk, you wanted to go with either MBR or GPT, any one of them. So how can you go any one of them? You can go with an option MK label or MK table. So it allows you to go for creating new disk table, new partition table. So you can say help MK label. So it tells you that MK label MK table will allow you to create a new disk partition table. What are the supported one? Either you can go with GPT, you can go with MS-DOS, many others are there, but usually as we discussed, either we can go with GPT or you can go with MS-DOS. MS-DOS is nothing but MBR partitioning style, isn't it? Okay. Now same way if you type, I'm typing Control L to clear the screen. I'll say print all the current partitions that you are having. Now suppose guys, I would like to add a new partition. So to add a new partition, you can say help mk part. So it explains you, it says mk part partition type. See here you are using primary, extended, logical. So you need to mention either primary or extended or logical, whichever you want to go for. Okay. Then you have to optionally, something which is mentioned in this bracket is optional, that you can give which file system you are trying to put on it. ext2, ext3, ext4, xfs, whichever you want, you can mention. Then very importantly, you have to give start and end. So if you observe, end of partition is start of new partition. End of another partition is start of another partition. So same way here the partition is ending on 22.5 GB. So new partition must start at 22.5 GB. And thereafter you can plus whatever size you want. So let me type print and I'll say MK part. Hit enter. So it asks you what type of partition you want to create. Guys, I want to create logical. If it is primary, I should type primary. If it is extended, I should type extended. So I'm okay with logical partition. Just hit enter, no need to make any change. Which file system you want to put? Now guys, if you wish, you answer this. If you don't wish, you leave it. Because maybe I have not decided right now. It's only for information purpose. It is not going to format it with any of them. So maybe here you are mentioning ext2. Later on, you can format with XFS. So it's not formatting. It is just keeping the information that you created a partition and you told that you will use it for something called ext or XFS or something. So you can keep it or you can move it to anything else. Suppose I'll say ext4. Now, where you want to start? So I'll say start at 22.5 GB and where to end. Maybe I'm creating a new partition for something 524, 534, something like that. So I'll say end it on 23 something, 23.2 GB, something like that I'm giving. Now print the partition table and you see that your new partition is created from 22.5 GB till 23.2 GB, some size it took automatically, right? And it told that you are going to format it with ext4. Okay, that's great. Now let me quit. See guys, whatever you have done, it took place real time. Now, if you say Q or quit, you run fdisk-l, you'll find that SDS7 is created. Or you go with parted-l, you'll find that the partition is actually created. So what happens in parted utility is whatever things you are mentioning, it happens on real-time basis. It's not storing in buffer or cache that you can revert it back. So whatever is happening, it's happening on real time. Now let us say I want to delete that partition. So I'll again go to parted into hard disk STA, print the partition table. To remove a partition, you have a command rm. It asks which partition number. I'll say 7. Print the partition table. This thing has taken place immediately. Now you type exit, sorry, or quit. Check with fdisk utility. This took place immediately. Oh, sorry. Parted-l. So whatever we have done with parted utility, it took place immediately and done. So one way of creating the partition is going into parted utility and making this option. Now there is one more way, guys, to create a partition with command line. Let's say that I don't want to I don't really wanted to go into a utility and do this activity. I just want that partition to be deleted or created. How can I do that? Let me show you. You can go with parted-l. Now let us say that using parted on command line, I want to create a 7th partition. And how am I going to do that? You need to say parted in which hard disk. I wanted to go into a hard disk called, or guys, if you just need a help, you can say parted-help. It might give you the help. To create a partition, you have to say mkpart, partition type, logical, extended, if it is MBR. If it is GPT, no need to mention any type. You can ignore partition type. You can also ignore FS type. Then you can go to start, end, and where you want to end it. So let me show you. I'll say parted, go to dev STA in the hard disk mkpart. I want to create a partition. What type? I want to create it logical. Where to start that partition? So I'll say start at 22.5 GB and where to end it? Maybe I'll say 23.1 GB. That's it. Now if you run parted-l, you will find that your 7th partition is created, right? You run fdisk-l, your 7th partition is created. Not only it is created, but if you go to proc partition, you will find that 7th partition is updated. So what did I do, guys? I just use a command. Parted, go to that hard disk, make a partition which is logical, start on this size, end on that size, and partition got created. Now, same way, I wanted to remove a partition on command line. So you can say parted on dev SDA hard disk, right? Remove partition number 7. That's it. And the partition got deleted. Now you just check it out, fdisk or parted. Your 6th, 7th partition is gone. Not only this partition is deleted, but if you run proc partition, it updated the kernel also. So with this command line, you can use it for deleting a partition or creating a partition or updating the partition. More in the coming time, we will see a little more about this command called parted command. right? So this is how we work with your partitioning concept. Guys, this confirms the completion of your partitioning class. Tomorrow we will see another new chapter which is related to partitioning, swap space management, right? So for today, I want to stop the class here. If you have any questions so far, any doubts, please put your questions now. Let me clarify that. Yes, all the utilities, whatever we are using, either fdisk or yes, you can attach a new hard disk and you can use this utility. See, on production, if you are using ESXi or Zen kind of virtualization, in real terms, you can attach a hard disk on the fly. But if you are going with this virtual box, the reason I did not show you is you need to turn off the machine, then go into settings, and in the settings inside storage, you can use plus. As you see right now, the options are locked. Why it is locked? There is an option plus here. So when you say plus, it gives you an option to add a new hard disk. You can add a new hard disk, and I mentioned that in the manual also, that if you have added a new hard disk, then you can go for either going with MBR or GPT, how you can go for it. So you just need to use parted and use MK label. When you use MK label, it asks you the question whether you want to continue with GPT or MS-DOS. So use MS-DOS if you want to go with MBR and GPT for GPT. But if you use the same command on existing hard disk, it is going to destroy all the partitions. So on a fresh disk, first you have to create partition table. Once the partition table is ready, then you can continue creating partitions in a new hard disk also. Any other thing, guys? Okay, so I think that there are no more questions. Okay, that's fine. So we'll stop the class here, guys. Let's meet up tomorrow and continue with new chapter. Please practice this stuff. It might be useful for you. So see you tomorrow. Thank you very much.